there, Lesley. How's it going?
Hey, Tim.
So
Thanks for
I
having
wanted to
me.
just, yeah, absolutely. So on behalf of APA Illinois, I want to congratulate you on your team's award for the best practice category for the Matteson Streetscape Improvement Plan. So this is just a great honor. So I thought maybe what we would do is learn a little bit about the plan, learn a little about you and the team like that. So how about we do this? Let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself and then just give us a brief overview of the project.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. We're so thrilled to be a winner in the best practice category this year. As you said, my name is Lesley Roth. I'm an associate principal and director of urban planning with Ratio. We're a multidisciplinary architecture and planning firm. For the Matteson Streetscape Improvement Project, we also worked with KLOA, who are transportation engineers, and Christopher Burke, who focused on infrastructure and stormwater planning. Ratio was primarily responsible for urban design, urban planning, and landscape architecture for this project. The project was funded through CMAP, their LTA program, and of course, representatives from the Village of Matteson were instrumental in creating a great process.
That's excellent. Great overview too. I think that just hearing kind of who's involved already, it makes for a great project. So I was wondering if maybe you talk a little bit about the process, kind of, how you went about it, maybe a little bit of engagement, give planners and those attending the conference just a little bit of a taste of what that's like.
Sure. So the Streetscape Improvement Project lasted about a year. It was divided into 4 phases that were iterative, that built on each other. Like most planning processes, it started out with existing conditions and ended with adoption last month in August. Throughout the project, we had a robust public engagement process. We don't see public engagement as a phase during the process. So the way that we engaged with residents and stakeholders of the village is first by creating a steering committee that was made up of a variety of residents already active in the village who helped us with review of interim deliverables. We also had 3 public workshops during the course of the project where stakeholders and Matteson residents were invited to participate in a variety of exercises to review the drawings, to review the policies and goals that were created throughout the process. And finally, we had focus group interviews, and there were a variety of Matteson residents, business owners, property owners, realtors, brokers, representatives from the school district, representatives from different departments within the village, and others who were involved and shared their insights about the village, their vision, mission, and goals for what they wanted to get out of the Streetscape Improvement Project. So throughout the process, that stakeholder involvement and those voices from the community really served as the basis for development of the goals and strategies that were then carried into the action plan that we developed in the last phase of the project and led to the actual implementation plan.
Sounds like a very strong scope and very interesting too, considering from what I'm hearing, all of the different players are involved. It sounds like there might also be some things that stand out or some unique challenges. I was wondering if there's anything that you learned along the way or that you anticipated that kind of stood out in that regard.
Sure. One of the big challenges with this project, like many other projects, is implementation. And another one that we see in a lot of different communities is just capacity building within the village. These are, those 2 aspects we did run into. And what I thought was really interesting about working with the Village of Matteson is that they also recognize these as challenges. And from the beginning of the project, developed internal processes to the village and communicated to us, the consultant, what their plan was for overcoming them. So particularly with implementation, which is always the biggest challenge because of lack of resources and planning, is that they involve their public works department from the very beginning of the process. So as we were developing the urban design, as we were considering the streetscape elements, and as we are looking at land uses, Public Works was always in the room to help us understand kind of what their budget was, what they could do, and offered us, actually very creative criticism into how to shape a design that was realistic for the village year to year. They have a very they evaluate their annual budget on a regular basis, and we're really looking for creative ways to fund the different projects for both of the corridors. It was two very large corridors in Matteson, Cicero Avenue, and Lincoln Highway. The second challenge, I think, for the village during this project was capacity. You know, like many municipalities, Matteson was no different in having a very small planning department. And Laverne Murphy, who is our Director of Economic Development, who championed this project, really worked hard to be a great steward for the project, and in fact hired a principal planner during the course of this plan to make sure that as a consultant we had the support that we needed from the village as well. So those were the two, I think, biggest challenges of the project that we recognized that luckily by the end, when we got to implementation, the village had built the capacity that they needed to begin to move the plan forward by prioritizing the specific projects that had the greatest impact, and working with their public works department had a budget that they could immediately start identifying projects to move forward through engineering.
Yeah, that definitely stands out. I think that's a testament to kind of the teamwork involved and who you had in the process to kind of make sure that this was shepherded throughout. So that's definitely a testament, knowing how much work that takes. So hats off to you and the team for that. I definitely agree. So I guess just in closing, is there anything else about the plan or the project or the community that you think stands out that planners here for APA would benefit from learning?
Yes, there's actually two things that I think are really important to mention. The project, as I discussed, was the design of two major corridors that intersected in the middle of Matteson in their very vibrant retail and commercial area, Cicero Avenue and Highway. Many communities would see this as a challenge because each one of these roadways carry tens of thousands of cars every day. And it could also be seen as a barrier because getting across these corridors is it's very dangerous for pedestrians and bikes. So in the creation of a multimodal environment, Matteson really embraced the idea of making both of these corridors bike and pedestrian friendly, and also creating environmental signage, including wayfinding and gateways that differentiated the village from the surrounding communities. Matteson is a South suburban community in Chicago, and in the middle of a sea of other South suburban communities. They really wanted to differentiate themselves in identity and character, to celebrate their success and help people understand when they actually entered the community. And so while some other municipalities may have seen these corridors as a barrier, it was very impressive to see how the village embraced these corridors, not only as economic generators, where a lot of their retail and commercial tax base came from, but also an opportunity to share the unique character and identity of the community. The second piece that I thought was really interesting and a unique kind of aspect of the village is an area that they call Old Matteson, which is just off one of the corridors. And Matteson is also lucky enough to have two metro stations within the village. Old Matteson is right near one of them. And they have a platform where rail fans that like watching trains and are interested in rail can come take pictures. And it's a really interesting part of their cultural history. So we spent a lot of time connecting that area of Old Matteson with the existing small businesses were there, thinking that they could really leverage the tourism that came from that rail fan area. It's also connects to the Old Plank Road Trail, which is a regional trail system. So we designed a trailhead in Old Matteson to help to provide connectivity throughout the region on the bike trail system, and also increase tourism to Old Matteson. So very unique town. We were thrilled to learn that there was, learn more about the kind of cultural history in that part of the village.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I'm somewhat familiar with the South Cook area, and definitely agree when you think about kind of all that kind of converges in that area. And that's a perfect example of kind of how streetscape improvement plans are kind of a very visible commitment to that economic development strategy. So tying that back together, I think, is really strong. And I will say, the best practice category, as far as APA awards are concerned, it's a very crowded category. You had a lot of competition. So just listening to what you talked about, my hats are off to you and the team. I think it was a great plan. The jury felt similarly. So again, on behalf of APA Illinois, congratulations on the best practice, and congratulations to Matteson as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim, and thank you, APA Illinois.
Thanks.